Hello, everyone. We're starting our Cryptocurrency 101 for Business webinar today. I hope you can hear and see my slides as well. And you can see me okay. If you're not, please type in the chat. We also live right now on YouTube. So if you are in the YouTube chat, you can use that chat as well to ask the questions. Normally, how we run those webinars, we keep everyone on mute and we can unmute it at the end. But if you think of any question that you have, please type it in the chat and we will come back to the question at the end of the presentation. Today we have four speakers for this webinar. So this is probably the most of the speakers that we had in that series. And these are it's myself, Elena Snelnikova, and I'm a founder of CryptoChicks, Amber Scott of Outlier Solutions, Joseph Yusu of the Canadian MSB Association, and Steve Harton of RCMP. So very exciting speakers. So they are all here right now. Welcome. So this webinar is not a financial or the legal advice. So in order to receive any financial advice, legal advice, please go to the financial advisors and the lawyers. Today we're going to learn we're going to just touch a tad on blockchain and cryptocurrency. We're going to go through decentralized versus decentralized as well. And we're going to look into most popular cryptocurrency, crypto basics for business, crypto and blockchain businesses types and examples. Amber is going to cover risk and regulations for builders of the blockchain businesses. Joseph is going to be covering money laundering and financial crime and how it is connected to the crypto businesses. And Steve is going to share us some information on the actual cryptocurrency scams and frauds so you can be aware about them. Blockchain. So we already had the whole entire workshop on the blockchain, and hopefully you joined it. If you haven't, again, you can check out our recording on our YouTube channel and as well in this cryptochickshightrade.com/Delia page. But in essence, what blockchain is, it's a database, a structured set of data that is located on the computers that are spread out all over the world. And these computers not belonging to any single party, but rather to people. So this is the most important principle of the blockchain database as we know it, at the decentralization. And also the consensus it means that agreement between all the records is not controlled by any single party, but rather consensus of all the users in a network. And users as well, as I mentioned, the people who install the blockchain files on their computers. So that's decentralized blockchain is, and just for you to have a visual. So these are all these computers. Of course, they're not the actual ones that are in there in the network, but just to get a picture for you that they are spread out all over the world. Therefore, is really hard to control or regulate or destroy a blockchain as we know it. We went over all the businesses that you can build, or if you're thinking of building, if you have an idea or something. But in order for you to build it, there's certain regulations that are in place right now. And Amber Scott of Outlier Solutions, so she is our compliance guru, and back in 2013, she created her own company, and she's consulting right now in the regulations. So if you have the question about your business, whether it's going to run into any trouble with the regulators, she's the person to go, and I'm giving her the stage right now. Amber, all yours.
Perfect. Thank you for that kind introduction. I'm just going to share my screen, so you should be able to see that now. I'm going to start as a true compliance geek with a couple of quick disclaimers. I'm not a lawyer. Please don't interpret what I'm saying as legal advice. I'm going to talk a little bit about how different government agencies work, but I'm not an official representative of those government agencies, which is to say if they say something different, that stands definitely over what I'm saying. If you have questions about a particular situation or company, I would ask that you generally try to find a way to say that in an anonymized way. You can also DM me in the chat as well. And finally, information should be free. So if there's any element of this presentation that you find really useful that you want to share with your own teams, please do that. I would consider it a high compliment. So let's talk a little bit about just what is compliance and what is regulation. We have laws which are effectively the overarching framework that we're all dealing with. Regulation talks a little bit more about how we do those things specifically, so it's usually a little bit more prescriptive. And then when I say compliance, what I mean is everything that we're doing as companies in order to stay on the right side of those laws and regulations. They come in many flavors. And so depending on what you're doing as a business model, you get to care to a greater or lesser degree about different types of regulations. Banking and payments, anything to do with money tends to be a fairly regulated area. Anti-money laundering, and Joseph will talk a little bit more about anti-money laundering risk. But most countries have anti-money laundering regulations that are now specific to businesses that deal in virtual currency in different ways. One of the things that I think is important to understand as a business is that if you're being paid in cryptocurrency for a service that isn't otherwise a money service business. So for instance, as a consultant, I've been paid in Bitcoin quite a few times. Now, from my perspective, this doesn't make me a regulated entity like a money service business, provided that certain conditions are met. But I think that's really important for business owners to know, because there's often a sense of what happens to me? Do I become more regulated if I'm accepting cryptocurrency as payment? And so the answer to that is no. If you're selling jeans or paintings, or something that wouldn't normally make you a regulated business, getting paid in cryptocurrency isn't going to make you more regulated. There are a couple of important things to know about that. One is that it doesn't exempt you from tax. So whatever tax regulations would apply to you normally are still going to apply to you when you get paid in cryptocurrency. So as a Canadian, if I get paid in Bitcoin, I'm still charging GST and HST on those payments, depending on where they're coming from. The regular tax legislation still applies. I still need to remit taxes to CRA based on the Bitcoin that I receive. So even though it's not Canadian dollars or another fiat currency, I still need to treat it as if I were paying that way. It's probably the most complicated part of our accounting. So there's definitely things that you need to keep track of, but it doesn't make you regulated in a different way to be accepting payments in virtual currency. Privacy. I think most types of businesses, if you're touching personal information, so information that identifies an individual, you need to pay attention to that. You need to pay attention to data security, which I think is a pretty important related topic. And this is not a problem that's easily solved by public blockchains. If I can give one piece of advice to people that are building in the blockchain space, so blockchain specific projects, it is, please, for the love of Satoshi, do not put personal information on a public blockchain. So there shouldn't be information that's identifiable about people that should otherwise be private, that's essentially written in pen forever on a decentralized ledger. That gets very problematic. That said, there are a lot of really great projects that are building in a way where they have ledgers, they do have blockchains that are interacting with things that are off-chain. So there are private elements and there are interactions, but that personal information itself is not stored on the blockchain. And I think that's a pretty important distinction.
Thank you, Amber. That was awesome. So we're moving on right away to our next speaker, Joseph Yuso. He is or he is wearing many hats. I just mentioned two of them. So he's certified anti-money laundering specialist and as well executive director of Canadian MSB Association. But he will talk about it a little bit more. And he will be talking about money laundering and financial crime. Let me share the slides right now for him on Joseph, let me know when to switch to the
Thanks,
next slide.
Selena. Thanks, Amber. Always insightful, always amazing. I love your don't flack Satoshi, don't disgrace Satoshi, because obviously we're all here to see this wonderful world of crypto grow, and it's amazing what Elena and company have done through crypto checks and other things. I think you've done an amazing service to the crypto community, and in special to all the people that are starting up and doing things. So don't get discouraged if you don't understand something. Don't like Amber says, you can't understand everything, you can't know everything, and if anybody claims to be an expert at everything, yeah, no. So let's go to the next slide. So thank you for joining me today, and thank you for having me. So just a bit about me. I'm just going to skim over it. I'm assuming you're going to get the presentations later, but I wear many hats. Yes, Camlo at BitBuy, which is a crypto exchange here in Canada. I'm also the chief compliance and risk officer and privacy officer at Payment Source. These are all consulting, by the way, and they're not 100% full time. I also have my own company doing sanction screening for AML and compliance. So if you need something there, I've got that. And I also do a lot of other consulting work and volunteer work at different organizations and stuff like that. I've been around for, God, 35 some odd years in the banking industry, the last 20 really in AML and the Proceeds of Crime, Money Laundering, Terrorist Financing Act in Canada. And really, I grew up with the regs, so it's a little bit easier for me to know where we came from, where we are, and where we're going. But that being said, there's always something to learn every stinking day. Next slide. I got the same disclaimers as Amber. Actually, I stole them from Amber. She gave me permission. I'm not going to go over them again. But basically, yeah, if you feel that you need some more information or something in the presentation you'd like to reach out and hit me up with, go ahead. If you're going to look at me up on LinkedIn, please send a message that you saw me on this session, because I get like 5 to 10 requests a day from everything to everything under the sun. So if you don't put a message in there, I don't know you're vetted, I'm probably going to ignore you. Next slide, please. Oh, money. Yeah, what's money laundering? So, what is money laundering? So, I've been asked to talk about money laundering and financial crime, not so much with a crypto tint, although it could be related to crypto, but money laundering and financial crime happens everywhere, including crypto. If somebody tells you it's rife in crypto, don't listen to them, because cash is the worst. And banks are probably even worse. We already seen that last year with FinCEN leaks, and what they're doing is suspicious, is in let $100 million go and then just report it as a suspicious without any more info. Come on. I mean, it's happening everywhere. Nobody's an angel in this space, and everybody's just trying to combat it. Really, we only find 2 to 5%. But anyway, getting back to it, UN defines money laundering as an act or attempt to disguise dirty money derived from criminal activity and washing it through some sort of legal financial instrument to make it clean. This is usually done in 3 steps. The first one is placement. So if you see here, there's somebody placing it through Western Union or Bitcoin or even cash. It doesn't really matter. Once it's placed, then they start layering it. They start mixing it around, start trying to complicate it through a series of complicated transactions just to obfuscate where it came from. And once they feel they've got it obfuscated enough, then they finally do the next stage, which is integration. And they put it in some sort of financial instrument, like a bank account or something else that makes it look legit. So this way, at the end of the day, what really is happening is they're cleaning the money so that when it goes to buy real estate or luxury item or something else, there's no question about where it came from. It was in a legitimate source. So I'm going to go through some of these examples and some key takeaways. And I only want to spend 10 minutes on this because I could spend an hour. And I got some exciting news that I'm going to be sharing with you later. Next slide. So, money laundering. There's really two main categories, although you could probably say there's 22 based on the different predicated offenses. There's probably 6 million other ways to do it as well, but there's really two forms of where it comes from and where it goes through. The first one is really the organized crime, things like, and I'll talk about that in a second, but the second one is the professional white collar professionals. And I hate white collar because we're all supposed to be very sensitive these days. But the professionals, the accountants, the lawyers, the real estate, the trade based financing, anywhere basically somebody can facilitate those three stages of money laundering. Next slide.
To go through us as well. But now we move into also another exciting part of our presentation, scams and frauds, which is presented by Corporal Steve Harton of Toronto RCMP. Steve, thank you so much for giving us your insights and welcome. Would you like me to control your slides, or is it okay?
Yeah, yes, please. The awesome RCMP computer systems have us pretty locked down here, so
yes,
we're not able to share our screens. First off, thank you for having me. I've got some big shoes to follow there with the three presentations ahead of me of Elena, Amber, and Joseph. Always very knowledgeable, and I always take something away from it each time I hear them speak. So I will try my best to keep up and fill those shoes. My name is Steve Harton. I'm a corporal with the RCMP. If you want to flip to the next slide there, Elena. So I've been a member of the RCMP since 2009. I joined and was originally posted to Saskatchewan, where I lived for 7 years in the darkest dark and the coldest cold that Canada has to offer. It's pretty cold in some of those places. Since then, I was able to come back to Ontario, where is my home province, and I was put into the serious and organized crime unit. So some of those syndicates that Joseph was speaking about were some of the targets of my investigations. I know the Musitano family very well and their unfortunate demise. All right, so some of the more common and popular scams. So not all of these are necessarily a part of cryptocurrency space, but a lot of them will have the added use of cryptocurrency as a payment method. A lot of times they'll ask for Bitcoin in return. So probably the most common one that I think all of us have had a phone call or two is the CRA scam. I even get them to my police phone, where they call up, pretend to be someone from the CRA, you owe X amount of dollars. Oh, by the way, go to the nearest local ATM and send the Canadian government Bitcoin. Should be a bit of a red flag there, because last time I paid my taxes, I didn't do it in Bitcoin. Very similar to the CRA scam is the warrant for arrest scam. A lot of those will come out and they'll actually say, the RCMP has an arrest warrant for you. I'm here to tell you, as an RCMP officer, I will not call you with a digitized voice and tell you that I have a warrant for your arrest. If I have a warrant for your arrest, I'm going to come to your house or to your business or somewhere where you are and personally present myself as a police officer. And I'm certainly not going to say, I'll go away if you give me $500 worth of Bitcoin. Again, just common sense, logical practice. It's one of those things where, you know, people get caught up in the fear of what's going to happen to them, that they don't step back and look at the rational approach of it. That's not how we operate in policing, and it's certainly something that I wish more people knew. Unfortunately, there are people who are falling victim to this. As Joseph mentioned, these scams are popping up so quick and they're changing so fast. One of the big ones, obviously, that have happened in this past year is COVID-19. People will set up relief funds, or they'll set up various different aid projects where they're trying to solicit funds and using COVID-19 as the mechanism to get you involved, to send money, Bitcoin, whichever they can. A lot of it is to send a few bucks here or there. To try and build that, and unfortunately is a scam.